April of this year has already started with a bang. The second was a historic level of severe weather, one of which we haven't seen in quite a few years. For the first time in my life, I actually took my ass to the fucking basement as one of these supercells pert near spun up a tornado right over my house. This was most non-triumphant. All the while, I'm watching on social media as people in my community and communities elsewhere downplay what was very much a destructive day of severe weather as not that big of a deal, or they're just fear-mongering again, aren't they? To the day after, seeing statements such as, "It didn't even storm where I'm at. I didn't even see what the big deal is." And those remarks, they're fucking cringe, they're baseless, they're irritating and embarrassing. But those dinguses are only the start, brother. My personal favorite are the tinfoil hat supergroups that genuinely believe that the government is controlling the weather, that tornadoes and hurricanes are big business for contractors and insurance companies alike, and it's incredible to think about. An example of this misinformation is the now slightly less wealthy dickweed Alex Jones, who with no hesitation spouted similar sentiments and only walked it back enough to say, "We don't know," which is very casual. And it's to ensure that there is at least a tinge of, "We'll never really know the truth, so take it all as truth and wake up." Here is a play-by-play I found from a Media Matters write-up. On the March 21st edition of The Alex Jones Show, a caller asked Jones whether he was planning to cover how government technology may be behind a recent spat of sinkholes after laying out how insurance companies use weather modification to avoid having to pay ski resorts for lack of snow. And following a long tangent, Jones returned to the caller's subject while he explained that natural tornadoes do exist, thankfully, and then he's not sure if a government weather weapon was involved in the Oklahoma disaster. Jones warned nonetheless that the government can create and steer groups of tornadoes. According to Jones, this possibility hinges on whether people spotted helicopters and small aircraft in and around the clouds spraying and doing things. It's a key word there, things. You gotta watch out for fucking things, brother. Yeah, that if you saw that, you better bet your bottom dollar they did this, but who knows if they did. You know, that's the thing. We don't know. Convenient. It's honestly incredible, and the misinformation wasn't so powerful, it'd be more funny, but it's still pretty fucking funny.
And quote, Bill Gates is going to save the world from bad weather. Bill Gates wants to stop hurricanes. Google it.
Bill Gates
owns the weather machines.
Let me pause for a second.
Yeah.
How do they manipulate a hurricane? So the hurricane's going to happen. How do they break it up?
Okay, if it's coming into land's their problem with aerial arrays projecting into the sky, they can break it up or strengthen it or kill it or steer it because it's all computerized.
And they're doing that with HARP?
Well, they've got HARP bases all over the place. They call them Doppler radar facilities. Oh, the government wants your local city to have Doppler radar.
I thought that was like so you could have the guy in front of the screen.
But that's at like 1/10 of 1%. They can crank those arrays up that have massive. Your lights might go out when they do it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll use the whole power of your town.
So let's talk about these lovely concepts. I first want to start with our pals who love to shit on the good folks who forecast the weather. We've all experienced changes in forecast. More often than not, this is a good thing, as the severe weather that has been warned for days has changed in its intensity to something weaker. Say you were expecting 12 feet of snow and only got a few inches, or that hatched risk of tornadoes has now been downgraded to a thunderstorm at best that will weaken as it pushes east. That's fucking great. We love that. It makes life a lot easier, and if it hadn't have changed and was somehow worse, then at least you are now prepared to take shelter if need be. The important resolution in any of these instances is that our atmosphere is chaotic. Any changes in temperature, humidity, or wind patterns can shift the entire outcome. A few examples are, say, for the past 4 days, a massive supercell potential storm has been looking very possible in the Midwest, and the humidity is dialed, the wind shear is ripping, and the cap, or convective inhibition, which is a very warm layer of air, is holding strong. And that can very easily mean that those storms don't get a chance to form. It doesn't give the opportunity for instability. And this would be considered a fucking good thing, not a reason to shit on your local meteorologist who, with their team, has put insane hours into keeping track of this potential concern. So your sorry ass can be weather fucking prepared, brother. If your area is in a forecasted high-risk situation, it doesn't necessarily mean you will see damaging weather. It's just the probability that it could. These models are for you to use logical thinking to be safe, and while these severe weather scenarios are happening, keep a fucking live stream open of someone like Ryan Hall or, your local news coverage so you have all the facts in real time. And make sure it says live, because you don't want to be 10 minutes behind. I've done that. Don't do that. Moving on. For as long as people have been on this earth, there have been warped minds that believe the government or some other person is in control and can harness the power of weather. And my deepest apologies go to Alex Jones, because that means you aren't special, sweetie. And it's not like you believe any of the things you say anyways. Realistically, Jones and others alike know that if they play into the hand of fear, it always comes back tenfold financially. Well, until you mess with the mothers of Sandy Hook victims. They came for him big time. And rightfully fucking so. Fuck you, Alex Jones. So, let's get into some finer broad points here. Cloud seeding is, in a nutshell, what most tinfoil hat folks are thinking about these days specifically. Or the Heart Machine, etc., etc., which was a pretty good fucking band back in the day, mind you. I think they were on Battle for Ozfest. See, this has music involved. It counts for this channel. You don't even know I make whatever I want. But cloud seeding is a real thing, but on a very, very small scale, you see. This technique dispenses silver iodine, or salt, into clouds to encourage precipitation. This helps drought-prone areas and attempts to reduce hail damage in storms. But with one major caveat. It is very, very localized to small areas where there are already cloud formations capable of producing precipitation. The scale of human intervention is much, 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 much more lackluster than a select few want you to believe. To put this into perspective, when talking about large-scale weather outbreaks, a single hurricane releases 600 terawatts of heat energy over its lifetime. It can release the same energy as 10,000 nuclear bombs the size of Hiroshima. To generate or steer or disrupt a hurricane, it would need similar, comparable amounts of energy to that scale, and it's a similar story for tornadoes, which, supercells are spanning over hundreds of miles. How's that gonna work? Basically, point blank, there is nothing humankind can produce that could interfere nor cause such systems, and if by some chance they could, it would be really fucking obvious. Like, come on, guys, have you ever seen the footage of them fucking cocksuckers with the big bombs and shit? Doesn't work. You would see that. You'd be like, hey, what's those assholes doing?
We're getting some breaking news that we've been following over the last hour with a Trump administration official confirming that about 5% of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration are being let go. That agency includes the National Weather Service. They work together to put together sometimes life-saving forecasts for severe weather threats.
Without getting too political here, because whatever you think I am, you're probably fucking wrong straight up. But the people who are classifying the defunding of NOAA as a great idea have to concede with the facts. The private sector, like the Weather Channel, Weather Underground, all use NOAA's data. Their breakthrough in the 90s with Doppler and geostationary satellites alone have saved a tremendous amount of lives. The funding and support of NOAA has went towards improved preparedness for our military first responders and has given us all up to 5 days of pretty fucking accurate projections of what the weather's going to do. Unlike the poor folks in the 80s who were lucky to see accuracy on the day of said weather. All of these scientists have worked tirelessly to save lives, property, and to hopefully continue this planet from being a massive rock covered in fucking fire. But these are my final thoughts. I'm not saying that there aren't folks clickbaiting the shit out of forecasts or that corporate greed with bullshit TV stations aren't a thing, but that's always the case with anything that's profitable, especially something that is fear-driven. That's my shadow. Fuck, I got a fat shadow. But there are plenty of individuals in small teams who are forecasting and trying to do what's right to help save others. And these people do it purely to benefit others. And they take donations from their streams or from their, their 501c's and all of these places, and they go out and physically help communities that have been destroyed. So I would like us all, I keep getting distracted by my shadow, but I'd love for us all to thank these scientists, these meteorologists, and especially the first responders, which most of them in tornadic situations are tornado chasers. A lot of them are EMT certified and things like that. The way we can thank them is by not being total dickheads. Thought about it? Try it out.